Hi, I welcome you all to this session where we are going to see about anything and everything with regard to a torsion pendulum. And taking you along on this journey is Dr. Yunus Jerusha, an assistant professor of physics. Many of you would have come across this experimental setup of the torsion pendulum in your physics labs. It consists of a circular disc freely suspended in air by means of a long thin wire of length L. The radius of the disc is given by R. We are going to go ahead and find out the twisting couple on the wire, the moment of inertia of the disc, and the rigidity modulus of the material of the wire in this session. Let us consider a cylindrical wire of length L and radius small r. The wire is fixed at its upper end at point O and is free to move at the lower end. Since it's free to move, this end of the wire is given a twist. It is twisted by an angle theta by the application of a torque in the direction of rotation, which is the clockwise direction. The wire is assumed to be made up of a large number of hollow cylindrical tubes which are coaxial in nature. This green shaded portion below going on right up till the top is one such hollow cylindrical tube which is coaxial in nature, and it has a radius small x. The second picture, figure 2, will give you a clearer idea. This green colored shaded portion is a hollow cylindrical tube which we are considering. It has a radius x and a thickness dx. Due to the twisting torque, the line PS, this is a line PS, the line PS is initially parallel to the axis of the wire OO prime, which is equal to L. Therefore, PS is equal to L. On the application of the torque, the point S gets displaced to S prime. This displacement is caused due to a strain through an angle called as the angle of shear or the shearing strain, denoted by phi. The shearing strain or the angle of shear is given by SS prime divided by PS, where SS prime is the arc length and PS stands for the radial length. In order to calculate SS prime, we look at figure 2. Figure 2 gives us SS prime, which is the arc length. The arc length is going to be equal to the angle subtended by the arc into the radial length, which is x. So SS prime is equal to theta x, and PS from figure 1 we know it is equal to L. Therefore, angle of shear is given by theta x divided by L, and we denote it by equation 1. From figure 2, the angle of twist is given by theta, which is SS prime, the arc length, divided by the radial length x. So, theta is equal to SS prime by x, or SS prime is equal to theta x. And from the previous slide, we have seen that the angle of shear phi is equal to SS prime by PS, which is theta x divided by L, and this we have called as equation 1. In order to find the rigidity modulus of the material of the cylindrical wire, we are going to have a small recap. Rigidity modulus is given by the ratio between the tangential stress and the shearing strain. Tangential stress is denoted by F by A, where F is the restoring force and A is the area of cross section of the cylindrical wire, and phi is the shearing strain. So putting everything together, we have the shearing force F to be equal to eta A phi. Now, in order to find this rigidity modulus of the material of the cylindrical wire, we have to substitute A, the area of cross section of the cylindrical wire. In order to obtain that, we have A, which is the area of cross section, to be given by the circumference, which is 2 pi x, into the thickness dx. We see here in our hollow cylinder, the radius is x and the thickness is dx. Therefore, circumference is 2 pi x, thickness dx. We substitute this area A in our equation for the shearing force. We have F to be n phi 2 pi x dx. From here, we proceed on to find the moment of this force on the elementary cylinder about OO prime, given by d tau. D tau is the product of the shearing force Fx into x. We substitute for F from our equation here, n phi 2 pi x dx. We multiply by x. We get n phi 2 pi x square dx, and we are regrouping the terms. So we have put phi to be theta x by L, and we are combining certain terms together here. We have x square into x, we get x cube dx. Therefore, d tau is eta 2 pi theta by L into x cube dx. We call this equation to be equation 2. We now proceed to calculate the twisting couple for two cases. Case 1 is for a solid cylinder and case 2 is for a hollow cylinder. The radius of the elementary coaxial cylinder varies from x equal to 0 to x equal to r, and therefore the twisting couple is given by tau is equal to integral 0 to r d tau. We substitute for d tau from the earlier equation which we had seen in the previous slide, which is eta 2 pi theta by L into x cube dx. Look at this equation carefully. X cube dx alone is the variable, whereas eta 2 pi theta by L is a constant. Therefore, we need to integrate only this x cube dx. On integration, we have x power 4 by 4 with the limits going from 0 right up to r. When we substitute the limits, we obtain eta pi r power 4 theta by 2L. How we got this 2 here is, there's a 2 in the numerator, there's a 4 in the denominator. So on cancellation, we have 2 coming in the denominator. The twisting couple per unit twisting angle is called as a torsional rigidity, denoted by C, and C is given by tau by theta. Tau is the term which we just obtained here, which is eta pi r power 4 theta divided by 2L. So on substitution and with theta getting cancelled, we obtain the twisting couple per unit twisting angle as eta pi r power 4 divided by 12. For a hollow cylinder, there are two radii, an inner radius small r and an outer radius capital R. Therefore, the radii of the elementary coaxial cylinders will vary from x equal to small r to x equal to capital R. Using equation 2, the twisting couple is given by tau is equal to integral going from small r to capital R d tau. Substituting for d tau as eta 2 pi theta by L x cube dx, and on integrating the variable term x cube dx, we obtain eta 2 pi theta by L x power 4 by 4. Substituting the upper limit and the lower limit, we have tau to be equal to eta pi r power 4 minus r power 4 theta by 12. This on substitution in the twisting couple per unit twisting angle, which is called as a torsional rigidity, we have C is equal to tau by theta, and finally the twisting couple per twisting angle is given by eta pi r power 4 minus r power 4 divided by 12. In order to determine the rigidity modulus of the wire, we analyze the experimental setup consisting of the long cylindrical wire with the suspended circular disc under equilibrium conditions. The circular disc is subjected to a twist which is acting in the clockwise direction. In order for this setup to be under equilibrium conditions, the wire must be subjected to a restoring torque in the anti-clockwise direction. We find out the respective torques acting on the disc as well as on the wire, and we equate them. If tau is the restoring torque generated by the angular force on the wire, tau is equal to minus c theta. Minus because it is acting in a direction opposite to that of the torque acting on the disc, where c is the couple per unit twist or torsional constant. If I is the moment of inertia of the suspended disc, then the torque acting on the disc, tau is equal to I alpha, where alpha is the angular acceleration. The above two torques are represented by equations 1 and 2. Since we are looking at equilibrium conditions, these two equations must be equated, and we obtain minus c theta to be equal to I alpha, and we substitute for alpha to be d square theta by dt square, where theta stands for the angular displacement. We represent this as equation 3. For simple harmonic motion, which you would have studied earlier, the differential equation is given by d square x by dt square plus omega square x equal to 0, where omega stands for the angular velocity and x stands for the linear displacement. We write it in the analogous form for the angular displacement as d square theta by dt square plus omega square theta. We have just replaced x, the linear displacement, with theta, the angular displacement. And taking the omega square theta term to the right hand side, we have d square theta by dt square to be equal to minus omega square theta. Substituting d square theta by dt square as minus omega square theta in equation 3, we obtain tau to be equal to minus omega square theta. Also, we have tau to be equal to minus c theta from equation 1. Equating those two equations, we have c to be equal to I omega square, and omega being the angular velocity, we have omega to be equal to 2 pi by t, where 2 pi stands for the displacement, the angular displacement, divided by t, which is the time period. And on taking the square root of c is equal to I omega square, we obtain omega to be equal to square root c by I. We now rearrange the terms of these two equations and we obtain the time period of the torsional oscillation of the circular disc to be equal to 2 pi square root I by c. The couple per unit twist which we obtained in the previous derivation is given by c is equal to eta pi r power 4 divided by 2l. From this equation, we substitute equation 5, and on substitution of equation 5, we obtain t, the time period of the torsional oscillations, to be t is equal to 2 pi square root I divided by eta pi r power 4 divided by 2l. Rearranging the terms, we have t to be equal to 2 pi square root 2li divided by eta pi r power 4. Squaring and rearranging the above terms in order to find the rigidity modulus of the suspended wire, we obtain finally the rigidity modulus eta to be equal to 8 pi il by r power 4 t square. This we represent as equation 7. To determine the moment of inertia of the disc, we find the time period of oscillation of the disc without any masses placed on the disc, which is denoted by T0. Next, we find the time period of oscillation T1 when the cylindrical masses are placed at a distance d1 from the center of the disc. Lastly, we find the time period T2 when the masses are placed at a distance d2 from the center of the disc. Let us look at the disc a little more closely. At the center of the disc, we have a chuck, and exactly through the center we have the long cylindrical wire to pass through. On either side of the chuck at equal distances, but at a close distance d1, we have the placement of the cylindrical masses and determine the time period of oscillation T1. Next, we place the same cylindrical masses at a further distance away from the chuck at a distance d2 on either side and determine the time period of oscillation of the disc T2. We can also find the time period of oscillation of the disc after the removal of all these masses, and that time period is called as T0. We've already found from the earlier part of the derivation that the period of oscillation of the torsional pendulum T is equal to 2 pi square root I by c. The time period of oscillation without any masses is denoted by T0, which is given by T0 is equal to 2 pi square root I0 by c, and squaring this, we obtain T0 square to be equal to 4 pi square I0 by c. This is represented as equation 8. The time period of oscillation when we place the masses on the disc at a close distance d1 is given by T1 equal to 2 pi square root I1 by c, and squaring this, we obtain T1 square as 4 pi square I1 by c, and this is represented as equation 9. Now, the time period of oscillation with masses on the disk at a distance d2 further away from the center of the disk is given by T2 equals 2 pi square root I2 by C and T2 square is equal to 4 pi square I2 by C. This is represented as equation 10. We have certain terms here, I0, I1 and I2. They are, first of all, I0 is the moment of inertia of the circular disc without any cylindrical mass placed on it. I1 or I2 is the moment of inertia of the circular disc with the masses at distance d1 or d2 respectively from the center of the disc. Substituting equations 8, 9 and 10 in the expression T0 square divided by T2 square minus T1 square, we obtain this equation here. Then we take out the common term 4 pi square by C in the denominator and cancel it with a 4 pi square by C in the numerator, and we obtain T0 square by T2 square minus T1 square to be I0 divided by I2 minus I1. Or cross multiplication of the above equation, we get I0 to be equal to I2 minus I1 T0 square divided by T2 square minus T1 square, which we represent as equation 11. Using the parallel axis theorem, we write down expressions for I1 and I2. I1 is given by I0 plus 2Im plus 2M d1 square, called as equation 12, and I2 is given by I0 plus 2Im plus 2M d2 square, represented by equation 13. Im stands for the moment of inertia of the cylindrical mass passing through its own center, while M d1 square or M d2 square are the moments of inertia of the cylindrical mass at d1 or d2 respectively about an axis passing through the center of the circular disc. Let us have a close-up of this picture again. We just said what was meant by Im and what was meant by md1 square or md2 square. Im stands for the moment of inertia of just the cylindrical mass with its axis passing through the center. This axis is parallel to the axis of the circular disc. Similarly, md1 square is given by the moment of inertia of the cylindrical mass with respect to that of the disc at a distance d1. Similarly, md2 square stands for the moment of inertia of this cylindrical mass which is at a distance d2 from the center of the disc. Therefore, I2 minus I1, where we substitute the previous two equations, equation 13 and equation 12, and when we substitute, it leads to a cancellation of the terms I0 and 2Im, which is represented in red, and then after cancellation and taking out the common term 2m, we have I2 minus I1 to be 2m d2 square minus d1 square, which we represent by equation 14. In order to obtain the end result, we substitute equation 14 in equation 11 and we obtain the moment of inertia about the axis of rotation as I0 2m d2 square minus d1 square t0 square divided by T2 square minus T1 square. This we represent as equation 15. In order to obtain another expression for the rigidity modulus of the material of the wire, we now substitute equation 15 in the original equation 7 and we obtain finally the rigidity modulus of the material of the wire to be eta is equal to 16 pi lm d2 square minus d1 square divided by r power 4 t2 square minus t1 square. In summary, we have obtained expressions for the twisting couple acting on the wire, the moment of inertia acting on the disc, as well as an expression for the rigidity modulus of the material of the wire. Hope you were able to understand this session. Thank you for your patient listening.